on the stage. This is my therapy. Feeling all of your energy and your attention on me, it's like I can transmute it, which I can, and which you can too. I've been on over 100 stages in my lifetime. Between the ages of 6 and 26, I performed in the musical theater industry. It was my entire life. It was my entire world. It was my entire identity, and it was completely inauthentic. Because as soon as I went from a little girl who was putting on shows in her living room to making a career out of musical theater, I lost my voice. I lost the power of play. And so after a very partially lucrative, I'll say for musical theater, lucrative career in musical theater. Going for it, I had a cruise directing gig for 2 years. I sang on a cruise over 100 songs per week, over and over and over again, no days off. I was on a national tour. I was off Broadway, and then in December of 2019, I left to go find my authentic voice. And on the journey of finding my authentic voice, I found the power of play. And boy, oh boy, did I play. I played in the mountains. I played on the rocks. I was a rock climber. I played with energy. I took a Tai Chi class. And as a performer and knowing the feeling of holding my audience, I knew the power of energy. But I didn't know that I knew it. You know what I mean? It's getting older, right? You know something when you're younger, and then you get older, and you're like, oh, that's why ABC. Okay, cool, thank you, wisdom. I'm 29, right? And I took this Tai Chi class, and I learned about this power. And I learned about the power of my breath. And I began to dance with this ball of energy. And I put all of my pain and all of my fear and all of my tormenting thoughts and anxieties and all of my traumas and all of my stories of I'm a bad dancer and I'm not a good enough singer. And I like to be a little weird and wacky sometimes, and I put it all into this ball of energy. And I carried it around with me. And I started to dance in grocery stores. I started to dance in public. I started to just be that person, something that I never did when it was my job. And then one day, I shared that energy. Now, one of my favorite compliments from people is, I love your energy. I've heard it a few times this week. It's a very exciting compliment because it's not about something that I did. It's just who I am. And so I continue to remind myself that when I show up as who I am accepted and I am loved and I am whole. And so I'm continuously grateful for that compliment and that reflection. And then I remind myself to count the wins of what happens when I do show up as myself. So, my first weekend in Austin. It was my first weekend there, and at this point in time, I had never sung in an improv fashion. Now, I do that all the time now. I do it all the time. It's my favorite thing to do. I love to scat. Play with my voice. It was something I had never done because I was so used to opera and musical theater, and you can't stray away from exactly what's on the page. And so at this event, my friend was DJing, and she said, hey, Sammy, will you sing with me today? And I was like, what? But I'm not perfect. But I'm not good enough. I didn't rehearse. I don't know what I'm going to sing. And she was like, yeah, you do. Just get up on the microphone and see what happens. And so I did. I said, yes, and. First rule of improv, yes, and. And I got up on that stage, and she's playing tribal house, which I love. I love house music. And I sang some disco. I scatted. My party trick is I will survive, so I brought that one out, and the audience loved it. It was a group of dudes, I call them macro bros, a bunch of coaches, a bunch of health coaches looking like this guy. And they were there to get into themselves and feel their energy and to take the next wave in their businesses. And I sang for them and they loved it. I had them in the palm of my hand. And then I decided I was done. And I jumped down, and I danced with them. And I was dancing, and I was going. And I look over at my friend Thomas, and we both love to play. We both know how to play. And we look at each other, and we're dancing, and all of a sudden, I toss him my ball of energy, and he catches it. And I was like, oh, that was cool. And he passes it back to me, and I caught it. And then my friend Nate said, over here. And I tossed the ball of energy to him, and Nate caught it. And then all of a sudden, this ball of energy that was filled with my pain and my torment and my stories was passed from person to person to person in a spontaneous game of invisible catch. It was a tennis ball. It was a basketball. It was a hacky sack. The DJ caught it and she spun it around on her finger, and then finally it got stuck in a tree. And my friend took out his clamp, grabbed it, pulled it down, and I caught it and I put it in my pocket for later. Everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Albert Einstein. What kind of energy are you bringing into a room? When you open your mouth to speak, where does it come from? This is a superpower, my friends. And when you begin to unlock your superpowers, you could do two things with it. You could manipulate, or you could influence. I like to think that I move from the light. And I teach people how to use their voice to influence. You all have the power. You all have the capability to unlock this superpower. That's why I call my brand Superpower Your Voice. Because you have an innate superpower. You have the energy if you clear the traumas and the pains and the BS and all the things keeping you from the truth, from your authenticity and your confidence. It's right there in you. And as soon as you let it melt away and dance it away and move it away and do all the things that right now you might be going, that's some hippie stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. And if you embrace it, how might you connect more deeply with your kids? How many parents are here? How many parents sing with their kids? How many parents just watch their kids sing and say, wow, I missed that age? There you go. Your inner child is screaming. And when you let your inner child out, that's when everything magnetizes to you. That's when people start to come to you and say, what is it about you? I love your energy. I love my energy. I take very good care of it. I'm learning each and every day to only share it with those who I know are going to play in the light. And so, I would love to connect with whomever here wants to learn how to unlock your superpowers. But I ask for one promise. Can you give that to me? Play in the light. Thank you.